condition, the reverse is the case. This is just telling us, in an illustrative manner what I just said. For the basis for intracellular acidification, carbon dioxide is a byproduct of metabolism, gets hydrolyzed, and eventually form protons and bicarbonates. It's a way in which carbon dioxide is removed from the body. So the time courses of all the changes of our experiments, soil experiments, were reminiscent of pH responses to procedures that we applied. When people apply those procedures, but they now intracellularly and quantitatively measured the pH of the inside of the cell, either by using the intracellular pH electrodes, as can be seen here, vast difference or Sudan axon, or by estimating using nuclear magnetic resonance techniques of such arterial preparations, Dawson's Fourier array. Now, in all these cases, extracellular ammonium transiently raised cytoplasmic pH, while subsequent washout carried it for a period below the level, as indicated by the first figure I just showed. By contrast with the mammalian preparations, ammonium application actually vasoconstricted, while its withdrawal vasodilated. This is a typical tracing. The above is a typical tracing, and the graph below is just indicative of a pool of results that we put together for various experimental conditions. So the phenomena were investigated under varying ionic and external conditions, and were compared under the three pHs: an acidic pH, a neutral pH, and an alkaline pH. Now, under all the varying conditions, there were no qualitative differences observed, but quantitatively there were variations. And the results excluded all the explanations of classical extracellular pH effects, invoking direct hydrogen ion inhibition of intracellular events. Now, in order to account for these PHI effects that we observed, we propose that a hydrogen ion will displace calcium from sequestered sites, such as sarcoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, and not necessarily from the myofibrils, that is the contractile proteins themselves. So we employed very many interventions known to affect PHI, intracellular pH homeostasis in other cells, by replacing chloride with phosphate, sulfate, bicarbonate, replacing sodium with lithium, with choline, with sucrose, with potassium, by applying seeds, overbean, amiloride, and some derivatives, Golgi's, Fourier, and Crego. All of these procedures retarded the adaptation of tone from the ammonium dilatation. Also, to varying degrees, the adaptation of tone from the washout constriction. We concluded that chloride bicarbonate exchange plays the major role in the elimination of alkaline load, while the sodium hydrogen exchange plays the major role in eliminating excess protons. Adaptation of tone from both dilatation and constriction is probably also influenced by changes of membrane potential and by the movement of other ions, such as chloride, calcium, ammonium, and potassium, which must occur in parallel with the changing sites of antiportation. So it was incidentally noted that while the amiloride effect was vasodilatory, its derivatives had either vasodilatory or vasoconstrictive effects on noradrenaline activated vessels, Golgi's, Fourier, and Crego. So we were asking ourselves, are we sure that the action of pH is actually in the cell, the vascular smooth muscle cells, or is it endothelial? So we're also able to show that the action of sodium-induced intracellular pH changes were not neural, they were probably not endothelial, but were in the smooth muscle cytoplasm themselves, Gori and Spurway in 1996. Because ammonium and its withdrawal were not detectably changed if exogenously activated, or chemically sympathectomized preparations. Also, our results using methylene blue, hemoglobin, and distilled water to investigate possibility that the ammonium effects were dependent on the EDRF, which is nitric oxide, in various vessels were less conclusive, but suggested firmly that the ammonium effects do not depend on EDRF. However, it suggested to a reasonable extent that the site of action of intracellular pH upon the vascular tone is neither nerve nor endothelium for the smooth muscle cells themselves. Taggart, Bamusa, Igoroje, 1986-1987. Now, within vascular smooth muscle cells, we're now looking where does the pH itself act. The basic ammonium effect was only quantitatively but not qualitatively different in the wide variety of membrane active agents that we employ. Therefore, it does not suggest and give us reason to think that pH effect itself was a membrane one. So the proposed site, we believe changes in pH, intracellular pH can alter calcium ion concentration inside of the cell and vice versa, due probably to the fact that calcium and hydrogen both share and compete for common intracellular buffering sites. Intracellular hydrogen can displace calcium from all binding sites. Therefore, the effect of intracellular hydrogen on tone would most certainly depend on the dominant site. One, if it displaces hydrogen ion from the myofibrils themselves, this will tend to lower tone. If it displaces the calcium from sequestered sites, it will raise tone, because more calcium is now made available. So since intracellular acidification reduces the force of contraction generated by the intact skeletal muscles or cardiac muscle fibers, the predominant displacement of calcium inside the cell will be considered to be from the myofibrils themselves. However, the results that I obtained in the vascular preparation study would be readily explicable if number 2 is the case. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished audience, I have spent the past few minutes discussing my major area of research, and I would now briefly summarize other related areas that I have researched and done some supervisions both at the MSc and PhD levels. And these are the areas: diet and variations. These are all the areas. Was my master's student and also PhD student, and is now also a professor. We investigated the role of physiological factors in the pathogenesis of hypertension and found that while there were no significant changes in both erythrocyte segmentation rates and hematocrit is PCV. A lot of us go to the hospital and say, "We are PCV." You find that these things that do not contain, they tend to get back to how your heart is able to function. Because if you have high PCVs and things like that, you may tend to cause an increase in the viscosity. And viscosity is one factor that affects the blood flow. So when there is so much heaviness, the heart has to work hard to pump. And that's why a lot of us need to get rid of our cholesterol and things like that to make sure that our bodies are dysfunctioning optimally and we're not over-laboring our hearts. So there was a significant increase in whole blood-related viscosity in salt-induced hypertension ignorance. Now, in human hypertensive, there was significantly increased whole blood-related viscosity, relative plasma viscosity, and fibrinogen concentration. Fibrinogen is one of the plasma proteins and components of blood. And this varied between males and females who were hypertensive when you compare it to those who were not hypertensive. And it has a correlation, a positive correlation with the systemic blood pressure. So, Bebe, again, one of my PhD candidates, she has also, I don't know whether she's here, I hope she's here. We looked at some ocular changes, including IOP, that is the intraocular pressure, in the female reproductive cycle, those women pregnant, menstruating, menopause, those menopause women. And we found that menopause significantly increased IOPs, and even more so if this group of women were hypertensive. So IOP varied during the different phases of the menstrual cycle, and there was ocular hypertension which progressed with the age of pregnancy. So IOP, however, does not correlate with systemic blood pressure throughout the course of pregnancy. Some knowledge about the normal intraocular pressures in the various stages of the female reproductive cycle could be very useful when screening for glaucoma in women, as it is a known fact that the sex hormones influence IOP. Serum cholesterol and exercise training in blood pressure. My current provost is seated here, Professor Yawe Igoroje. We looked at the effects of exercise training in blood pressure and serum cholesterol in some Nigerians and found that exercise training decreased blood pressure and increased high-density lipoproteins. Igoroje and Akinlabi and Yawe, we investigated the association of serum cholesterol and sodium concentrations in some Nigerians and found that there was a significant positive correlation between plasma cholesterol and sodium concentrations, meaning that, you know, if you want to maintain normal blood pressure, you have to watch out for what you take in, salt and all, which is a known fact anyway. Now, microalbuminuria screening in medical students. Nephropathy indicates an abnormal state of the kidney and can be predicted by the presence of albumin, which is a plasma protein. When it's excreted by a sick kidney, it will appear in urine in minute amounts. So microalbuminuria is when urinary albumin excreted is between 30 to 300 milligrams in 24 hours. This level cannot normally be detected by the normal district urine testing method, but can be a very important diagnostic tool for people who are at risk for developing kidney disease, with or without predisposing factors such as diabetes and hypertension. Because even in clinically healthy people, microalbuminuria has been found to be associated with increased vascular morbidity and mortality, as well as increased atherogenic factors. And so Urinde, Igoroje, Mariagba, and Alozie screened an apparently healthy population of medical students and found some prevalence in this group of students, such as, such studies can actually help to formulate early preventive strategies so that people will know well ahead of time if they may, develop nephropathy. Again, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, if you look at around us, there's a lot of noise around the environment, and one of the things that I did was to also look at because noise pollution can pose a serious health risk, including that of cardiovascular disturbances, apart from the major one we know, which is on hearing. So we looked at traders, sawmillers, electroacoustic traders, food processing industries in the city, Mache, Igoroje, Wodo, and commercial bank riders, Ibaze Harbor, Igoroje, Yawe, Uche, Isi. We investigated that, and our findings included significant high prevalence of hypertension amongst motorbike riders, and also the environmental noise impacts, and also that environmental noise impacts negatively on our hearing. A lot of our medical students that we use as samples, had hearing impairments to very high level. I'm proud to also say that my daughter is also an ICT specialist now. I'm glad that this has happened. And so, because of the interest in how women are able to manage their environment, I headed a multidisciplinary research team that investigated the impact of environmental pollution due to the oil exploration and spills in Niger Delta. We carried out a pilot study in the Kakwame area and focused on social, economic, agricultural, and health implications affecting the women, especially, and how they manage their environment for sustainable development. Of course, we found that there was significant negative impact on the women of that environment that was so degenerated as a result of the oil pollution. The impact on health and the economic activities has also led to the modification of sociocultural and economic activities of the women, especially And because the women formed a major workforce, you find that the whole environment was adversely affected. Members of the team, the Awuse group, Dr. Kohai, Dr. Awa Ituma, Dr. Dede, Dr. Ikubeni, Obot Stella, and Daniel Kerr. I hail you all. I'm sure you are here. The Awuse group, we call ourselves. Each member brought to the team their expertise handling different aspects of the study. And this study was actually presented at the 10th International Conference on Gender, Science and Technology in Copenhagen in 2001. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood are so intertwined that what affects one affects the other. I have looked at the variety of biochemical substances that modify the environment of vascular smooth muscle cells within the walls of the blood vessels, and these cells contract and dilate to affect the vascular tone, which in turn affects the pumping capacity and ability of the heart and therefore blood pressure. A major function that the cardiovascular system carries out is transportation and supply of all essential and important nutrients, such as oxygen that is needed for normal cell functions, and removal of metabolic pollutants, such as acid and carbon dioxide, components known to influence the acidity and alkalinity, and therefore the pH of the cells, either inside of the cells or outside of the cells. I reported that pH, both the intracellular and extracellular pH of the vascular smooth muscles can be modified using some new techniques, and a significant contribution of this work to knowledge is that it pioneered the use of the ammonium pulse technique in the vascular smooth muscle cells. In all normal circumstances, extracellular acidity will reduce vascular tone, whereas in mammalian vessels, intracellular acidity does the opposite. This work therefore concludes that pH outside of the cell and pH inside of the cell affect vascular tone through different mechanisms. One, the basic mechanism where intracellular pH modifies tone, in that increased hydrogen ions will displace calcium from intracellular cells, making more calcium available for contractile functions. B, that pH inside the cell is regulated by two main ion exchange mechanisms, which include the chloride bicarbonate exchange operating particularly in the exclusion of excess alkali, and two, a sodium hydrogen ion exchange with a predominant role in eliminating excess acid. Buell's proposals that dilatory effect of extracellular acidity related intracellular acidification. B, it indicates that changes of body fluid pH that is brought about by changes in the carbon dioxide relation are likely to produce tone responses that are smaller or even at times opposite to the responses produced when extracellular pH is changed in identical amounts by varying the bicarbonate concentration outside of the cell. Again, other studies indicate that blood pressure is not exclusively controlled by vascular tone, but by a variety of factors, including what is contained in blood itself. Some hemorrhagical factors, such as increased whole blood relative viscosity, and fibrinogen. Because of the possible correlation of systemic blood pressure with intraocular pressure, some knowledge about normal intracellular pressure, in the various stages of the female reproductive cycle, which could be very useful when you are screening for glaucoma in women and men. Which means that if you want to screen for glaucoma, you have to know the stage of their menstrual cycle so as to get precise prescriptions. The high environmental noise pollution does not only affect our hearing, but it can also cause hypertension. So this also is another important information that we have made. And this noise, for those who are exposed to it constantly, you can develop hypertension from it. Sir, distinguished audience, Vice Chancellor, sir. When I returned from my sojourn in the UK, My initial experience as an academic, really lacked good mentorship in my field in particular, and especially a woman who had just returned to the country at a time things were not rosy for Nigerians, and for the educational sector in particular. So to set up a lab of the type that I was used to was very difficult task. So I groped for a while before setting out to do affordable research. And not delving into research irrespective of costing of academic house. It's inexcusable. I definitely am not excusing myself. My opinion is not excusable, and it's inexcusable. But I believe that the lack of proper mentoring aggravated the situation, because if I had got good mentorship, I would probably be better. So good mentoring, especially for young scientists, is highly recommended, as it helps to build capacity among academics. Good mentor-mentee programs should be institutionalized as part of the academic programs, as is currently done in most of the developed environments. Because of my interest in gender and science and technology issues, I also advocate specific mentor-mentee programs that are targeting young girls to enable them to develop careers in science and technology. The regulations that govern the environmental noise pollution in Nigeria, they are there, but they are not enforced. They should be strictly adhered to minimize the impact on blood pressure as well as on hearing. And I thank God for the ASU strike that is supposed to improve our laws. So I'm praying that at least we should now be able to carry out appropriate research. I'm appealing therefore to promptly and properly implement the policies that will promote research in the universities, that will enhance national development. Above all, I'm employing our colleagues, the universities themselves, that we should be strategized. A lot of us are doing research for promotion. We should do research, we should translate research for promotion into research for national development. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished audience, I will not finish this lecture. I want to beg your indulgence for me to quickly acknowledge some people that have impacted my life in one way or another. First and foremost, I acknowledge that Jesus Christ is the Lord, and He has been my God, my Savior, shield, my buckler. For Him be the glory, honor, and adoration. Amen. I sacrificed everything for us. Unfortunately, she never lived. Her sisters, Bibi, Jane, Mommy, Jordana, all of blessed memory, were the mothers we knew when we were small. My sisters here can testify to it, and their memories will always be in us. I want to appreciate my cousins, both the Efemo and Sambo family, for how they contributed to my early learning experience. My papa, Benjamin Niomeja, was a source of encouragement in a very peculiar way. He always let you know the consequences of thoughtfulness, carelessness in life, and helped to mold the moral strength and character that helped me and my siblings, a lot of them are here, to have the foundation that has seen us through the ruggedness of life. I want to remember the memories of my brothers who are late, my siblings who are late. Can you recognize by Tosa, Awani, Eitoyo, Opio Richard, Chief, Miss Akweni, Opoyawa, Garulos, oh, where is he? Garulos. That's my sister, my baby sister. She's my baby sister, my confidant, my great support, and her darling husband. He's a man of many parts. Kama, please can you? He's a reverend, he's a policeman, he's a man of many parts. Oh, and all their families. I want to appreciate all the wives that are here and the needs here. I appreciate you all for the guaranteed support. We're always together.